Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 301, The Heart of the Truest Believer. This episode aired on September 29th, 2013. It was written by the showrunners Eddie Kitsis and Adam Horowitz and was directed by Ralph Hemmicker. And before we were recording, I was looking something up out of curiosity because I felt like that combo for the premiere seemed familiar. Ironically, all of them worked on the finale. Eddie and Adam wrote the very last episode, 222, and Ralph directed the second to last episode, 221. And so I was mildly correct that combo was usually the premiere because Eddie, Adam, and Ralph worked on the season 2 premiere. This one, also season 4. There's different directors for seasons 5 and 6, but then he comes back and directs the season 7 premiere as well. So the three of them work together a lot.
Okay. That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it's also good. I feel like when you have a combo that clearly works, they kind of keep using it because obviously the writers and the director have to work really well together for the episode to come out the way they want it to.
Yeah.
All right, before we get into our recapping and chatting, and I have a feeling Katie's going to yell at me for the next 45 minutes.
Maybe not at you.
Maybe not at me. Maybe with me. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's get into a synopsis for the episode. In the Enchanted Forest. After Neil was found and healed by Mulan, Aurora, and Philip, he needs to find a way to get back to Emma and Henry. They venture to the Dark One's castle where they see that Robin Hood has taken up residence, and they find a crystal ball that shows Neil of his family's location, and now they need to find a way to get him there. And in Neverland, Greg and Tamara have successfully brought Henry to their home office, only to find out that the people in charge of their organization are not who they thought. They'd been working for Pan and the Lost Boys the entire time. Greg and Tamara don't survive their encounter, but Henry runs away, taking refuge with a former Lost Boy to escape. When it seems they've been cornered, Henry's belief powers the pixie dust the other had, which proves he has the heart of the truest believer. The Lost Boy reveals himself to be Pan all along, and now he has Henry right where he wants him. And meanwhile, on the Jolly Roger, our heroes need to devise a plan to get Henry back. Gold abandons their cause to look for Henry alone, only to be offered a deal by one of Pan's followers. The rest are left to prepare for battle when the Jolly Roger is attacked by mermaids. They catch one, who calls forth a storm that is set to destroy them until Emma realizes that it's their personal disagreements that is creating the storm. The more they fight amongst themselves, the more they tear themselves apart. She jumps off the ship to get their attention, forcing them to work together to get her back. The only way they can save Henry is if they play on their individual skills and work together as a team.
Yes, as a team.
As a team. We're really leaning into the fantasy, I think, more so this season. I always say, season 1 to season 2. I mean, season 1, especially from what we just watched, is a vastly different genre than what we're going to be seeing. Season 1 it has the fairy tale stuff, but it's more small town drama. Season 2, they're doing a much better job of kind of melding together. I would say more like low fantasy or urban fantasy, whatever you want to consider, because it's a lot of magic and storybook and what we're going to do here and now it's just fantasy. Okay,
we're just gonna jump straight in.
It's Neverland because this is the first episode to not feature Storybrooke at all.
It's interesting.
It feels different.
It feels very different.
Which is what they're going for. We'll see Storybrooke. Oof.
Eventually.
I think the first time we see Storybrooke is episode 8 of this season.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I like that they opened up on Emma giving birth though, and then I wrote down that choosing adoption is truly one of the hardest decisions you could ever make.
It is.
It's really, really hard. Because as a person who's carried 2 children to term, it's a ride.
Yeah.
I did write, can Dumb and Dumber go away already? Talking about Greg and Tamara, and I'm like, are we done with this yet? Home Office, my God.
Yeah, we are. My God. We're so done with Dumb and Dumber. Apparently, according to the wiki, Seneca said about Tamara being killed off, she had to get killed off because she was working on The Walking Dead. That was a recurring role at the time. It just scheduling-wise wouldn't have worked out. But, here's the thing. How would keeping her around have worked?
I don't think it would have, but that's just really funny because as of right now, Steven just started season 2 of Walking Dead with me.
Oh, okay.
I've only seen up to a certain point. I did really like the show. I think I've told you that they've done a couple of spinoffs now that I'm like, fuck, I actually am interested in these characters and would like to watch these characters, but I have to finish The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
to know how their stories go from there to this.
Yeah.
But I've got my husband into it, so it
There you go.
helps. She's great in The Walking Dead, by the way. She's just great.
I'm sure. She's a phenomenal actor. We just hate the character.
She does really well with being angry.
Yeah, that's fair.
The whole line between Hook and Regina, villains don't get happy endings. And then I hope not, or we wasted our lives. I was like, oh shit. Oh shit.
They were having a moment there.
They had a moment there, and I'm like, all right.
I really wish that was a ship. I really wish it was.
It's a good one.
It's such a good one. Like, so the clip that went out today for today's episode that went out was 213, which actually I didn't say this before, because I did say in the beginning of the 213 episode that one was going to go out today because this is our podcast anniversary. Today is a year and 2 days from when we came up with the podcast. We're recording this on July 15th.
That's why I'm so sweaty then.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why. If you listen to the beginning of this podcast, we were very hot.
Well, because we were figuring out when we could and couldn't have fans on.
Yeah. And now I'm in a room that doesn't have one.
Yeah, now I've realized I can leave mine on and you can't hear it.
I'm very, very jealous. How do I get a ceiling fan into this room?
That I can't help you with. I am not that kind of lesbian.
So why does Rumpel stay human in Neverland?
Rather than being scaly again?
Yeah, why does he ever go scaly again? Why did
not in a modern context? We only ever see the scales when it comes to the Enchanted Forest. Well, because this was my thing of like he can drop the cane. Obviously, he's in a land of magic.
He dropped it.
And like I think something they were alluding to was that early on, like in season 2, he was still holding on to that man he used to be for Bay, and now he thinks he's dead. And so now he's kind of like giving up on that a little bit. So that does play into why he just lets the cane go. But but in my head, I'm just like, if you never needed it when there was magic, why did you have it ever?
Yeah, and it makes the whole like needing a mobility aid and then not needing it because of magic feel kind of icky.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's not great.
No, but the reason why he goes into the crocodile outfit honestly also doesn't make any sense.
No, I'm like, isn't the other thing more comfortable?
I would assume. My guess is they had him go into the crocodile outfit because he's the crocodile and this is the Peter Pan season. That's the reason why. Is they thought it'd be a fun play on things. I don't know. I think it's terrible.
So I had a moment though when they were building a signal and said, "Ooh, go get dry leaves." Are they aware that green leaves smoke more?
I'm gonna go with no.
Dry leaves are great kindling to start a fire, but like if you want more smoke, you need something green.
Given the fact that Greg/Owen spent a lot of time with his dad camping, you'd think he'd know that.
That really annoyed me so very, very much after the amount that I've gone camping growing up and was told very, very vehemently, do not get anything that is live because, I mean, like greenery, not animals, obviously, because then you have a campsite full of smoke.
No, don't burn live animals.
Yeah, please don't burn live animals. See, I told you it's hot. The heat's getting to us. And then I just had that moment of, what the fuck did the shadow just do?
Ripped out a shadow.
What the fuck?
Well, I think they mentioned that in the finale. Was that's something Pan does, is like he rips your shadow from you. And he did.
So creepy. Well, yeah, I did right. I said go away, not die, but this works too.
I just wrote, bye-bye, Greg. Bye-bye, Tamara. And later on, okay, bye-bye for real now, Tamara.
All I can think about is last week. Bob Dorr, third wheel. Bye-bye.
Bob Dorr.
Oh, Bob Dorr. And then, of course, it was so obvious. I was like, that's obviously Peter Pan.
I mean, yeah.
Teamed up with Henry. If that tricked people, what?
Okay, I in my defense, when this aired, I was 17.
But it was so obvious.
Think like were you thinking about this kind of thing in story structure-wise when you were 17?
Yes.
Okay, well, I guess we're not as smart as you.
No, I started reading it too.
I mean, I was also a reader. I was an English education major, and I didn't pick up on it.
How did you not get it?
I was 17. I don't have any other reason why I was watching the show.
All right, valid. I do think I would have picked up on that pretty quickly. Just because, also remember how much Peter Pan content I have taken in my life.
That's different, yeah.
I was big on Peter Pan at that point in time of my life. Yeah, I have a problem. I think I grew out of that one though. I did. The only one I've gone back and watched is Hook, and that's because
that's an amazing movie.
It's an amazing movie. I got very excited for mermaids and that they're deadly and not like just pretty things that swim in the water.
The evil mermaids. I did love David's line though. I will not be capsized by fish. I forgot about that. I watched those scenes with those because there's so many fun one-liners and in the mermaid fight scenes and everything. I'm telling you, 5 of my personal points come specifically because of specific lines.
Oh, but Regina alone.
Regina's lines are 5 of my personal points alone.
Alone.
We'll get there, but I forgot about I will not be capsized by fish.
And then that maybe Regina should start with the fireballs first next time.
Maybe,
just maybe. But the lines, going into the lines, I wrote down quite a few. The first one I got so excited for was, I'm not a huge fan of Neil. We know this, but when he said they made a movie about you to Mulan,
then I don't know how to explain what a movie is.
Yeah, I loved that. Threatening her isn't the way to motivate her. Well, I'm all out of fish food.
That's more like it, Charming. Fillet the bitch.
I wrote that's the next one.
I had it that because that one, Lana would say that's her favorite line a lot because it's so funny.
Now may I resume killing her?
I have that one too.
Like, I fucking love Regina. I love her.
And our burger of the day, or burger of the week for this episode, is the Heart of the Truest Believer burger. Comes with rainbow kisses and unicorn stickers, which comes from the altercation between Snow and Regina. Undo your spell, bring back the mermaid, and what? You'll win her over with your rainbow kisses and unicorn stickers? Considering your plan failed, at least we could try. You're such a naive princess. I am so tired of you ruining my life. I ruined your life.
Like, it's so they're just like siblings that are fighting now,
which really is actually
more fun. It's like
you see like them fighting on like the bow of the ship, where Regina's like holding Snow's head over the edge. Like, I want to know what the direction was for that.
Like, it was just so funny because I really like that we're moving away from the like, oh, all these people hate each other and it sucks and they keep trying to kill each other because Snow did. Yeah, reciprocate. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, yes, please get to like just to this like working through shit portion where you just really do want to cuss each other out and slap each other.
That's going to be them for a lot of this season, and actually,
it's so much fun.
I have an amateur ADR that's Regina and Snow banter edition, and a lot of it is from season 3 because like you get a lot of it this season.
I enjoyed that aspect of this episode. And then we went into, I did like the old Robin Hood more, but that's okay. But it did prompt me to restart Lucifer. So
you will. Okay. You'll see more of Sean. Obviously, I'll get into my thing with Sean, like because like he's like I can't even say I prefer the first one because we only see him in the one episode, and you've now only seen,
I just like that actor.
I know what happens with this version of Robin Hood, which is why I'm more inclined to be like he's a little more well-rounded and better, but he's also kind of he's not set dressing, but he's kind of just there when they need him. He's not. He's always a part of
like portals.
Like portals. He's never a huge part of the plot. He's always a huge part of the B plot. I will say he's always involved somehow. He's just never like he is main cast at some point in season 5, but he's just kind of like always there, not because he's driving forth the plot at all.
All right. I went, oh joy, blood magic. Let's bring that into this.
In their case, blood magic is more just magic that can only be undone or done with people of your same bloodline. Less like magic with blood.
Sorry, my brain just went, it's a wreath.
It's a wreath. But it's more that's like the blood magic will come up again in the latter half of the season. And it's less of like using blood for certain things. It's more of like your direct lineage is the only person that can enact these kinds of spells.
I really love Hook in this episode too. Like, I love the banter. I did really love Hook in this. Mm-hmm. But then I got mad again because I really, really, really don't like how Emma spoke to Regina about being a mother and getting her son back.
I fucking hate what do you have to add to this, Savior? I'm a mother. Are you really? Are you sure?
And I know like they start the episode with her having like, literally giving birth to him, but giving birth does not make a mother.
No.
While giving birth is a very serious thing and it's a hard thing and so many of us do it, many people across, it's how people are made.
Yep.
Being a mother is a whole nother thing. You can make a child and not be a mother.
Yeah.
So that really pissed me off because what the fuck, Emma? No. No. Of course I called it. Yeah, she'll get there, but I want to smack this person. I did call it with Pan, obviously, because at that point you figured out. And then my last thing I wrote was just teenage boys are the worst.
Yes, they are. I will say this was a fun part of the season for Jared to film, because up until this point, he's pretty much been surrounded by adults. Like, this was one of the few seasons, and like everyone's significantly older than him still. Like Jared would have been 13 here, and I think most of the Lost Boys were like between the ages of like 17 and 19 is my guess. But it was like the first time that he was mostly on set with people roughly his own age, or at least closer in age than they've been. Because mostly he's been on set with Jen and Lana and Ginny and Josh and all these, or he's just, his character has been on for 5 seconds and they send him off with Ruby. So this was a lot of fun for him to film, just because this was the first time he was really surrounded by people his own age. Because
filming more like bigger scenes too.
They give him a lot more this time around, just because also as he gets older, legally he can be on set longer, right?
I say child labor laws.
Exactly. They're sticklers for that, funnily enough. They do actually hold on to those because they legally have to.
Well, there's legally proof.
Yes. Well, what's funny is as the show goes on, when he gets taller, because he'll be like 16, whatever, I think originally they have mostly like other kids that are like the stand-ins for him. But when he gets a little taller, I believe we see from like behind the scenes or a blooper from the musical episode, the person who was his stand-in was an adult, was just a short man.
Oh my. So that was an episode.
It was an episode. So speaking of Emma giving birth, great segue. Great segue. So Henry, as like we see, the clock strikes 8:15, and I get why they do this, because it's a fun callback, but I think this is one too many times, because 8:15, obviously that was what the clock was set at in the curse. That's the number from Peter Pan. It's also, I think 8:15 might have also been the name of 8:15 might have been the flight number in Lost. I don't know. So he's born at 8:15, and we later learn his birthday is August 15th. So he's born on 8:15 at 8:15.
Okay, then.
That might be a bit too many times.
Bit too many.
I get what they're going for. Just a few too many. One thing I thought was really interesting about this episode is one of the script covers for this episode. It was auctioned off for a charity at the time that was raising money for St. Stephen's Children's Center in Uganda. It was auctioned. It was signed by all of the current main cast members. So it was signed by Ginny, Jen, Lana, Josh, Emily, Colin, Michael Raymond, James, Jared, and Bobby. The script's final bid price totaled $850,000. $850? $850,000. Hang on. $850 makes more sense. Let me double check that I got that right. Either way, it's still great.
Oh, that's a lot of money.
$850 is still a lot for an auction. $850,000 might be too much. Let's double check.
That's a lot of money.
Let's check that I wrote that down right. I was like primed to say 1,000, but that's not what I wrote down. But now I want to make sure I'm right. No, $850 is correct.
Okay, I was about to say
that makes more sense.
Wow,
that is a lot. So Sean Maguire is here as Mr. Robin Hood. Ironically, before prepping to film his first scene, he admitted to the publicity photographer, who actually, at some point, I'll post pictures, because actually the photographer who was did the behind the scenes shoots for the entire show, put out like a photography book of like a lot of his stuff when the show was over, and as a fundraiser. So I actually have one, so I will at some point share images of it, but it's tucked in this bookshelf that's here behind things. But Sean admitted to the photographer that he didn't actually know how to use a bow and arrow. That might be important when you play Robin Hood.
Just a little. Just
a tiny, tiny bit. But coincidentally, the photographer happened to be practicing archery, so he kind of knew what to do, so he gave Sean a real quick lesson so that he didn't look like he didn't know what he was doing.
Nice.
So we have the photographer to thank for that.
Yeah, because using a bow and arrow, there's so many different types of bows that it's different for each one.
Exactly. The mermaids' crowns were made by a local Vancouver-based accessory designer, which I think is cool.
Nice.
They're pulling from local people.
Support local.
Exactly. And this is the beauty of the fun, oops, CGI, blink and you miss it kind of thing. After Regina turns the mermaid into wood, one of the above shots of the ship during the storm, mermaid's gone. They didn't put her in. They forgot. But I was thinking about this before, because I know we say a lot of times that it's funny that Bob's has better continuity than this show.
Just a little.
It's a lot easier to draw something and leave it there than to intentionally put something in multiple times. Like that's what they have to
do.
But that's what they have to do. It's a lot easier to forget that way. So I give them grace in that. It's harder to remember when you're doing that. But it's a fun time when you get to watch these little oops and you find those things.
Those are fun. Like, because you can even look at some scenes of Lord of the Rings. And there's like modern day stuff, like someone's wearing like a wristwatch or something like that, which is so funny when you're watching something like Lord of the Rings where it is high fantasy. It's always funny.
So this is the beginning of our A and B half seasons. So this is all speculation. I don't know if this is actually why they did it. This is just based off of things that I'd heard at the time and articles and things. The deal after the 2008-2009 WGA strike was set to go into renegotiation in 2014. And they were having a hard time, I think, coming back to the table, is my understanding from the articles that I read. And I'll put a link to one of the articles that I found. So I believe a little bit of them doing it this way was a little bit because of an impending strike. This way they could at least have a completed story. And we'd leave off on in case they couldn't come back to finish the season. That's pure speculation.
I will say we've got quite a bit of a experience with impending strikes.
That we do, considering that a year ago SAG-AFTRA went on strike and our podcast, I can't say it went on hold. Like we
got a lot of work done.
We got a lot more time to create a bank than we intended. We'd always intended to record at least for like a month and then go. We just got to record for 3 months.
Hey, I'm looking back, I'm really, really happy we got that though. Between all the things that have happened in like just the past year. Like I can't believe I'm able to say that now. All the things that have happened in the past year have, like, if we hadn't had that bank, we would be so behind right now.
Well, we're still, I mean, we still have, I think, a 10 or 11 week bank. So we had, I think we had 3.5 months. So we were down to 2.5 months. Like we've barely used our bank in a year, knocking on everything right now. That everything. Because we're pretty good at this point of stretching our bank with specials.
Yes. And we do like specials. If y'all like specials, we'll keep doing them.
Because I mean, well, honestly, whether they like it or not, they're getting them. I think that's...
It's keeping our lives sustainable.
It does. It makes it easier because we can record those the same week as we record a regular episode. That way we get 2 weeks of content out of 1 week.
Because these are a lot of work. We love doing it.
Yes.
Like, we very, very much enjoy this, but it is work.
It is a lot of work. So it's fun. It's worth it work, I always say. It's like with all like the research and stuff that I do, I looked into finding some behind the scenes photos for us. And I found our IMDb's and I made sure to put in the script, like, we're not skipping Sean Maguire's because it's hilarious.
I can't wait.
But before that, a lot of what happened on the episode was obviously on the pirate ship. And so there is in our script a drop down, I believe, for you to look at. It's behind the scenes photo Lauren finds hilarious.
Wait, let me full screen this.
Okay,
wait a second.
And this one, I'll make sure I remember to put it in the materials for social media, so you can put it in the post, and I'll put it on the story, because it's of the very dramatic scene of them trying to pull Charming and Emma back up on the boat. But what it is the green screen with the boat, and Josh is just lying on a giant green mattress, smiling as you have Ginny, Lana, and Colin acting as if they're pulling them back onto the ship. He's just having a lot of fun. He's such a sweet man.
He is. Oh my god, it looks like it's coming straight out of his ass.
Dude, that's the point. That was and believe me, Josh Dallas is the king of fart jokes. You best believe he made some jokes about that.
I wouldn't be able to keep a straight face around that. Oh my god.
Well, like,
you should just make this the clip and put up the picture as a sticker.
Hello.
Here you go. This is what we're talking about, and it's so freaking good.
So much of this episode of like the stuff on the ship, like I really do commend the actors for like their really well done performances. Because I wrote down like the scene on the boat with the mermaids with the initial fight. I'm like, the storm is really impressive because like this is the true make believe of acting. They are on a fake boat on airbags that I'm sure like some like grips are like jostling, so it's kind of like it's moving on water. In a giant green room. And like, if you told me that they filmed this somewhere on a boat outside, I would believe you.
Oh, same.
Like, they do a phenomenal job with that. And then further on, I say with the cinematography of the storm scene when they're about to climb the wave, I was like, it's so cool. The slow-mo was really cool, but all I can see in the back of my mind is likely they're holding on for dear life while there are these men behind the camera just dumping buckets of water on them.
I want that job.
That's probably what was happening.
I want that job.
Just dump water on actors?
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to do it.
It's a good way to do it. Like, let me be the person to throw things at people.
It's got, well, that's like one of the things that like I loved from the Truest Blood podcast. I haven't gone back to listening to that, but because I think they stopped doing it more of an episode by episode recap and more of just like talking about the show. But originally, Kristen Bauer would talk a lot about like how they got a lot of the practical effects done. And she was like, yeah, the time where we speed away, it's basically me and Skarsgård were just like on a skateboard basically, and there were just these men behind the camera just pulling us really, really quickly, but we didn't know how to stop. It's just like, explaining all this, and I'm like, how are you not dead?
Or very, very injured. My goodness.
Like, a lot of the effects apparently on True Blood were practical if they could do it, which is just...
Look, it's still better than running in Twilight.
Everything is better than the Twilight running.
Everything is better than Twilight running. Oh my god.
But
even the behind the scenes look bad of that. Like,
that just makes it even better though. But did you notice David's hair randomly grew about 3 inches?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he season 3, he's got some nice little flowy lock situation, which works really nicely for the humidity that is supposed to be Neverland. It gets very curly and very like dramatic.
Oh, so like where I live.
His hair, like, honestly, like, I know as long as my hair, but like he does have like a nice little curl to his his flowing prince locks, which just makes it just fun to watch for the rest of the season.
You're a lesbian, right?
Yes, I am. I can appreciate when Josh Dallas is pretty.
I love that it's specifically pretty.
Because he is. That's the only way to describe it.
He's a pretty man.
He is a pretty man. But
I need a beard.
No, he never. Other than in Thor, I've never seen him. No, actually, I can't say I've never seen him with facial hair. It was...
Oh god, he was in Thor.
But with the pandemic, he grew out the beard. And so what was funny is, so him, Ginny, Bailey Madison was doing like an Instagram live series at the very beginning of the pandemic, just kind of give people something to do.
Yeah.
And Bailey asked how Ginny felt about his pandemic beard, and Ginny was like petting it. She's like, nope, I asked him for this. She's like, I wanted this.
I mean, you see what I'm with.
Yeah.
So I have no excuses.
No, definitely. But it's like, I can't say I've never seen him with facial hair. He had facial hair during the pandemic, which isn't really the same thing as having it for a project.
No, it's not. Because like you don't actually have to grow it.
No.
For a project, because they can do a fake beard on you. My husband's I've threatened divorce if he shaves his off. Okay, in my defense, he's had it our whole relationship. And if he shaves it off, I don't know what he looks like under it.
That's fair.
And I'm scared.
That's totally fair.
I don't want him to shave it. And I'm like, oh, wait, I don't find your face attractive.
I mean, it would fundamentally change his face.
Exactly. I've seen pictures of him like from high school, but your face is not the same usually as high school. Definitely. So like he literally turned 39 yesterday. So yeah.
Maybe for his 40th birthday, he'll shave it off.
Oh, fuck. Don't wish that on me.
But back to your thing about Emma not really being a mom. Emma had she starts out, I think, in the right place, especially when she calls out Snow and Charming. Like it's towards the end of the episode where we're like, maybe no.
Yeah, not to Regina.
No, but in the beginning when Snow and Charming are really trying to like, give her a pep talk and all this other stuff, and she goes like, you say good always wins. It doesn't. I didn't grow up in some fairy tale land. My experience is different. That's all I can go on. And Snow goes, and all we have to go on is ours. So if you would let us share our wisdom, I appreciate you're trying to be parents. We're the same age. We have equal amounts of wisdom. Like, she's got every right to feel that way. And like, Snow is also correct. And she's like, the moment that I let go of the belief that things get better is the moment that I know that they won't, which is very Snow White of her. And I did like that harkens back to her line from the pilot of even the possibility of a happy ending is a very powerful thing.
Yes.
Like, that's very Snow White of her. But Emma's got every right to kind of blame them. She's like, I believed in you guys. You said it'd be okay, and it didn't. And now things are worse, and now we don't have Henry, and I don't know what the hell to do.
It's like, you kind of, made me believe that everything was going to be fine.
Yeah, like, I trusted you, and look where that got us. Like, she's allowed to be annoyed at this. But
Mm.
I do love Hook's comment of, oh, it's a great use of our time, a wardrobe change. But to be fair, basically everyone kind of gets a wardrobe change in a little, like, ish. Regina is absolutely wearing a completely different color blazer than she was before, because she was wearing, like, a red blazer.
Yeah.
It's now very distinctly blue. She decided, but she can have one. She's allowed to.
You
Emma
can change that at will, though.
Exactly. There's no indicator from the finale that Emma was wearing a tank top underneath any of that. So, but it works because, again, they're going to be in a jungle basically for the next 10 episodes. But here's the thing of, like, I don't know if this was based off of what we know about what happened with Ginny and being locked in that outfit for the first part of the second season. They're very specific in that they all clearly have jackets as well as whatever the underclothing stuff is. So that way, when, like, they are outside and filming, because there will be time throughout this part of the season where they randomly are wearing their jackets.
Gotcha.
Because it's been set up from the beginning that they have them with them.
That's smart.
That was smart. So I don't know if that was an intentional thing based off of what happened last season, or if the writers were just like, let's just let them keep their jackets because, yes, we're in a jungle, but also we're still in Vancouver and it's going to get cold eventually.
Oh, yeah, and we don't want people freezing.
No. Absolutely not. I did like the storm was creating their inability to, like, that was created by their inability to collaborate.
Yes. I did like this.
That's a good plot device. A lot, I will admit, most of my notes are from the ship aspect of the season. I don't have a whole lot of stuff from Henry and the Lost Boys other than, hi, Pan, fuck off, Pan. That's basically what I wrote.
I just want to know why. Like, I know I'm going to.
You will.
Like, what his motives are and everything. The whole home office thing, it was so dumb. You were right. You told me I wasn't going to like it. It was so dumb.
It's so dumb.
Like, what is this storyline?
Because the dumb thing about it is they believed in their cause so wholeheartedly that they didn't ask questions. And I loved Henry's line of, like, good thing you don't ask questions. Because their cause was to destroy magic. The person they're looking for is actively looking to enhance his magical abilities. Like, they were doing the opposite of what they thought they were. That's what makes them idiots.
Like I said, Dumb and Dumber.
Exactly. But the storm that was being created by their inability to collaborate, and that's a good device because they start the episode so spaced out. And like you said, Snow and Regina needed that fight of, like, okay, just fight it out and then you'll be fine and it's okay. Like, Emma did almost get herself killed, but it's a good device in getting them to work together so that we can see that there is a base for that as the season goes on, when they do have to work together and they do have to play off of their own different skills, because they'll play into Regina being okay with making darker choices. They're going to need that eventually, and stuff like that. And this group is called the Navengers. That's what they called themselves while the show was going.
Okay,
that's why we have in the script Navengers Assemble. So our 5-man band, shall we say, is solidified finally. Because this is why I waited until the end of this episode, because I didn't want you to be like, but wait, Rumple's there. How's that work? Because he's not there. He's not really working with them. He's doing whatever the hell he wants.
He dipped.
He's doing whatever he wants. So it's our 5-man band is Emma is the leader, and I'll put a link to the Trope Talks video on where she describes all of this, like, in more detail.
Yeah.
But Emma is our leader. Regina is our lancer, who's usually just like the antithesis of our leader, but also still works with everybody. That's how that works. Snow is the heart, which sometimes is called the girl. I don't like it.
Let's stick with the heart.
Let's stick with the heart. David is the tank, and Killian is the smart guy. He always has a plan.
He's a pirate. He has to.
He always has a plan. Like, to be fair, like, out of everyone, that makes the most, because I'm sorry, David's idiot number 2. He can't be the smart guy. Emma thinks she has plans. They almost never work. They almost always end up going with Killian's suggestion eventually.
Oh, how am I not surprised?
This plays in a lot to what I say about, as the show goes on, why, like, our guest stars don't stick around quite like Killian did. Because he started out as a guest star who got to stay on with the show. And mostly that's because he was introduced completely separate from his source material, mainly because they didn't have the rights to the main source material yet. They only had the rights to his character. But as we'll see as the show goes on, like, even Tink, who comes in, like, so many of the characters come in tied to the story that's focused on their source material. which is why they don't really have the same kind of staying power that he did, because he came in as a completely separate entity from the Peter Pan story. He was separate from any source material whatsoever. He was just, other than the crocodile aspect, like he was just there as a character, as an antagonist for Rumpelstiltskin. He was there to be that kind of dark character that they needed. And now that he's now he works really well for that 5-man band. The 5-man band's full. There's no adding other people unless they're tied specifically to one of our 5-man band. Like people that will get added on as main cast. Like I said, Sean will be added on. Other characters get added on because they're tied specifically to one of our 5-man band. So they're going to have staying power. Like, as we'll see, Tink's going to come in. Peter Pan obviously isn't going to stick around past his arc. Elsa and Anna, when we get to the Frozen arc, when we get to Camelot with Arthur, like that
I'm excited for.
They don't have a whole lot to do with the main plot of the show outside of their half season.
Okay.
So it's an unfortunate thing and this is one thing I say about the writers a lot, is they have this really good knack for creating characters that people care about really quickly, which is sometimes good and sometimes bad. Because you want people to care about your characters, but the issue is people will care about characters that you never intended to stick around. I don't think Mulan was ever supposed to come back, in my opinion. Until they saw how popular Mulan and Aurora were. Until people saw how popular Mulan and Aurora were with fans. I'm going to go with they weren't planning on her and she's going to sticking around, and Mulan's going to even come back after this part.
Oh my.
Like she's going to keep coming.
Who doesn't love Mulan?
She's going to keep coming back. So I don't entirely, it's to their detriment, but also it's a good strength, but it's also to their detriment, because you want people to care about your characters, but the issue is they care about characters that you never had plans for.
Then you gotta make it work.
Exactly. So do you want to do stats and then I'll do the IMDb's last?
Yeah, we can do that. Okay.
What'd you give it?
So I gave plot 7.
Okay.
Character I gave 9 because the banter.
Yeah, it's good banter.
I love the banter. But between Dumb and Dumber and Peter Pan, I was like, this isn't a 10. It can't be.
No, it's fair.
Personal was an 8. Like I did enjoy it. There were just too many aspects of like I'm annoyed. So this does get a 24.
Okay. That's honestly that's not a that's better than I thought you were gonna give it.
I don't have, there's not enough of Pan to know how much I'm not going to dislike his character.
You'll get more
This was just like a small introductory to his character.
You'll get more about him in the next episode. And obviously as this part of the season goes on.
Can't wait. So excited.
You sound so excited. Again, I promise I'm going to be dragging you through this season. Mm-hmm. 3B is worth it. That's all I can say.
I feel like you feel a little bit.
I feel bad about this. I feel bad about making you watch this part.
No, don't feel bad about it. But I feel like you were right.
Yeah,
like you feel good that you were right.
I feel. I mean, I don't feel great that you're not enjoying this as much as you want to.
I said good, not great.
So I gave plot and character both 9s because it's
okay.
I may not care about Dumb and Dumber, but I love everything that happens on the ship and with those characters. I think that's really important. And we're gonna count off my personal points here based off of lines that I highlighted.
Okay.
With threatening her isn't the way to motivate her. I'm all out of fish food. That's more like it. Charming, fillet the bitch.
Yep.
Now may I resume killing her?
Yep.
You'll win her over with your rainbow kisses and unicorn stickers. And I ruined your life. This gets a 5 for personal, based solely on those 5 lines of Regina.
No, that's fair. That's totally fair.
6 to 23, which is not too far off from yours.
Oh, a point.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it gets 5 personal points for those 5 lines because those are 5 of the funniest lines ever, I would say.
They're hilarious.
But there's something real special about I ruined your life because that's the whole that's the whole point of the show.
It's the entire point of the show. And I feel like I probably would have gone higher on points if it weren't for Emma's last line.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Like that one really, really fucked me up.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta hear this IMDb.
Okay, so we'll start with Robbie K. Well, we're good. Sean's gonna be the very last thing because, quite frankly, it's the best.
Okay.
Robbie K is a British actor. He's actually, weirdly enough, literally a month older than me. Which, for context, that means that for most of filming, he was 17.
So this is Pan, right?
This is Pan.
Okay.
I thought I said that. I didn't. Thank you for asking.
I was like, wait a minute. We're talking about the same person, right?
Robbie K is the actor who plays Peter Pan. So yeah, he was 17 for most of filming, if that helps.
Okay.
When we talk about how people simped after him, we can feel uncomfy about that.
Oh, thank the God.
We can definitely feel so uncomfy about that, and we can rant about that at a later date. Some of his notable works include, obviously, Once Upon a Time. He did guest stars on Grey's Anatomy, 911, and he was also like a side character credited as Cabin Boy in the Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides movie.
Okay.
And this is just a fun thing that I think it's really interesting and really sweet. After this season, I don't know for how long and when it kind of started, but actually he decided to stay in LA for a little while after, I guess, to try and work out here because he's from England. But while he stayed out in LA, he actually lived with Sean and his wife, which I thought was actually really sweet. And the lovely IMDb of Mr. Sean Maguire. So,
all right, Robin Hood.
This is Robin Hood. This man's been acting most of his life. He's been acting for almost 40 years. Yeah, because he started out really, really young. One of his earliest credited projects was a show called Grange Hill, which was like a show about teens. It's kind of like I got the vibe. There's like a Degrassi kind of vibe.
Okay.
Ish. He also after that did kind of a similar kind of slice of life kind of show called EastEnders. Ironically, he played Prince Charming in a TV movie called Prince Charming.
Oh.
I love when these things happen. More recently, he was Leonidas in the Meet the Spartans movie, that was like the parody movies. So it's a parody of 300.
I've seen that parody.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So he's Leonidas in that one. I've only ever seen clips. I've never seen the entire movie, and I don't think I ever want to see the entire movie personally.
I watched it. Yeah, it's been a while, but I think I was high.
That's fair. That's
how you watch parody movies.
That's how you watch those movies. After Once Upon a Time, he guest starred on shows on the CW, such as The Magicians and The 100.
I have to finish The 100, and I keep being told to watch The Magicians.
I've never seen it. My favorite thing, though, when he was on The 100 was he tweeted at one point, because I think in the first episode he was in, because he was only in 3 or 4. People were commenting something. I guess they were tweeting at him or something, and he said, "Thank you all for the reception of me being in this episode. Can anyone tell me why that was significant? I have no idea what was going on." He didn't watch this. But to be fair, he's in that season where they're on a different planet. Like they find it's hundreds of years later and they landed on a new planet. So like he's very removed from a lot of the beginning of the show, to be fair. But it's the content like you didn't look up any of the context of your show, my dude. He did his best. I've actually met him in person. He's one of the actors that I've met.
Oh, fun.
The autograph that you can no longer see, the autograph that I have of his at my very first Comic-Con, he was there. That was just
awesome.
Fun timing. So I got to meet him. He was super sweet. His most recent thing that he does outside of acting is he now has an acting school called the Players Conservatory, which they host. They have online and in-person acting workshops and classes, so they make it as accessible as they can. I've looked into it. It's not that expensive. Like if you want to take a few classes here and there, with a focus on like making people ready for like auditions and for anything, whether it be stage or television or commercial, whatever it is. Like they post a lot about their students. Like it seems like a really great acting program if you want into that. I like that I've learned to be mature about myself and not spend money on acting classes that I don't need just to talk to this man.
That's fair.
Because like I don't need to. It's for any acting classes or any kind of coaching that I need going forward. It's not that style. Because I'd be doing more voiceover work. But last but certainly not least, it's my favorite thing about this man's acting credits. He's uncredited in this. This is one of his earliest acting projects, but he's uncredited because he was a kid and there were quite a few kids in this. Have you ever seen the Monty Python movie, The Meaning of Life?
No.
Okay. So that's what's people that know Monty Python, the British comedy group. They do like movies that have like there's some overarching.
I've seen some Monty Python.
There's some overarching storylines, but for the most part, the movies are kind of vignettes of little things. So he was one of the kids in the Monty Python Meaning of Life vignette that is titled "Every Sperm is Sacred." I will link this in the show notes. The version that I found, he's actually in the thumbnail. He's credited as like Red Jumper Kid because he's a kid wearing a red sweater. But yeah, the Every Sperm is Sacred. It was a vignette basically where it was a Catholic family in Industrial Revolution era England, I would assume, and the dad comes back saying that because the house is just filled with kids. It's filled with kids. And he comes home saying, no, the mill is closed. He's got no work. We got to sell you all for medical experiments to make ends meet. It's Monty Python. That's what you expect.
Mm-hmm.
And basically the joke of it is like, it's too bad the church wouldn't let me wear a condom. It's basically the joke of it. And then he sings a song to the children, and the children join in, and then the townspeople join in, and it is called Every Sperm is Sacred. And I'll make sure you get to watch this because it's Monty Python. It's hilarious.
It's Monty Python.
But this is my favorite thing about his IMDb, is that of all like the other stuff that he's done, weird, like, stuff here and there, British TV, American TV, what have you, one of his earliest credits is as Red Jumper Kid in Every Sperm is Sacred from Monty Python, The Meaning of Life.
That's hilarious.
It's an amazing thing to have on your resume, in my opinion.
Damn, I can't wait to watch that.
It's for how I described it, I think it's still even more bizarre.
Yeah, just a little.
It's Monty Python. I don't really know what else you expect.
Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 5, Episode 15, Adventures in Chinchilla Sitting, and Episode 16, The Runaway Club. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. Follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok. And if you'd like to join our book club, you can find the link with more details in our show notes.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.